Stephen A., I actually spent some time last night trying to make a case for Cam as in C-A-M versus Cam K-A-M. I like this Carolina team. I just don't love the weapons. So even though the Seahawks that you picked to go to the Super Bowl have struggled, they've had a fourth-quarter lead in all of their games, lost 3 of those leads. They're ripe to lose a home game here. Detroit almost got them at home except for the bat out of hell play. They should have lost that game. Could they lose this one? I just can't make the case enough because it's sort of Cam or bust for their running game. And then he's throwing mostly to Greg Olsen, to Ted Ginn. It's too easy to defend Cam Newton in this offense without a Kelvin Benjamin. So I'm going to say low scoring. I think it'll be a struggle for your Seahawks. But I think Cam comes up just a little bit short. I'm going to go 17-10 Seahawks over Cam Newton.
Skip Bayless, I'm gonna tell you I think the Seahawks are gonna win this convincingly, somewhere along the lines of like 28-13. I really do. It's not to say that they're that much better than Carolina. That's not the case. I think that Carolina would have had a much better chance at Seattle, not lost to Cincinnati in overtime after giving up a 24-7 lead. I think they're going to be highly motivated to make amends for that. I think the return of Marshawn Lynch, which is expected, obviously is going to be a huge boost for them. And at some point, forgive me, but you've got the 26th ranked offense in terms of passing yards in the Seattle Seahawks. At some point in time, I've got to believe that Russell Wilson is going to discover Jimmy Graham. I got to believe that Ricardo Lockett and those boys are going to be a bit more relevant. I get it that it's against a really, really tough Carolina Panthers defense, but offensively, Cam is pretty much it. Ted Ginn can play, Olsen can play, but against this defense, Cam's going to have to do everything. And they have too much speed on the defensive side of the ball to let Cam have his way. If they were just big and came at you that way, that would be different. But with the Wagners, the KJ Wrights, the Cam Chances, the Earl Thomases of the world, they've got too much speed on defense for Cam Newton to be able to beat them by himself. I think Seattle wins convincingly this weekend, 28-13.
But let me say, in Cam's defense, it's sort of like Andrew Luckless against the Patriots, that he's lost all 4 times. 2 of the worst QBRs of Cam's career came in the 4 games he's played against Seattle. So they have just completely shut him down and embarrassed him. At what point does Cam Newton finally say, I've had enough? I have a good defense. I think Kuechly will be back this week from his concussion.
At what point.
What's that?
I know at what point, when they get other players around them. Because you can't beat Seattle by yourself. You can't do it.
Okay, but Seattle isn't Seattle anymore.
Carolina's, I think they will be. I think they'll get back to that. And Carolina's front office have got to get Cam Newton some personnel help. They really, really do. They got to help him out. You can't ask him to do everything by himself. He gets hot. Charles Johnson was in studio over the weekend telling me, you know what, Cam Newton, he finds his rhythm. Everything works out. Not against Seattle. He needs help. Somebody needs to step up and help him.
Pats Colts?
I got
How many points? What's the score?
I say 27-21 New England.
Psycho Tom. Stephen A., what you got for the score? Pats Colts.
37-21. 37-21 New England.
Have fun in Miami. Skip. Scout Sync did a mock draft of the top 20 players in the Big Ten, and half are from Ohio State.
Half?
Including the top 3 players and 5 of the top 8. Ohio State is 6-0 and ranked #1 in the country, but have struggled at times this season. Of course, Robert, you're still a Buckeye.
Of course. Once and always.
Always, right? Never changes. Are they still the best team in the country?
No. No, they're not the best team in the country. And teams should be judged on their performance, not their reputation or their potential. And anybody that looks at Ohio State this year and thinks about what they were last year and just assumes that they're the same team, they're just not watching, or they just want to believe something that's not true. But I look at teams, I look at a team like Alabama, who's obviously lost to Ole Miss. I think they're a better team right now. I look at Baylor. I look at TCU. I look at Clemson. I'm not quite buying Utah. I think they go down to Arizona State this weekend. But there's no way that Ohio State right now is the best team in the country. And I'm tired of seeing voters just put them up there just because they're the defending champs.
Okay.
Very unbiased of you. Stephen A.
Hold on, whoa. Did you throw Baylor in there with their non-defense playing selves? Did you say Baylor?
I did say
with
Baylor.
their offensive playing selves.
If it wasn't, you do remember.
I mean,
you do remember that bowl game against Michigan State. Now they were up by 20 in that game, but they were up against that vaunted Michigan State defense. So that team that didn't play defense, the defense cost them in that game at the end. But the way that the offense is looking right now, improved play on defense, yes, I have them there right now.
All right, I guess I haven't gotten over the fact that they gave up 31 points to Lamar. I guess that's what it was. I guess that's what did it for me, Robert. Lamar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, you know, who am I to question you? But I'm just saying. I mean, when you mention Baylor, I'm like, really, Baylor? But okay, I'll defer to you, my man. I'll defer.
Well, wait a second. Is this take shots at Texas Schools Day? On this? We've gone Mean Green. Now we've done Lamar, and even I'll throw Baylor in there, right? The Baylor Bears.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, come on, Skip. Come on, Skip.
Come on
now. Baylor gave up 31 points to Lamar.
Who looks like the best team to you right now?
I got to throw this out to defend ESPN Analytics, our FPI. They love the Baylor Bears. In fact, I think they're number one. The last time I looked, they were number one in our FPI. So, Stephen A., you're going against our people again.
Whoa. I only have one question. Is that the same people that said that Kobe Bryant was the 96th best player in the NBA and the same people who said that Dwayne Wade is number 45?
No, because FBI.
All right. As long as it ain't the same people.
No, it's not. Maybe it's the same people that program the computers, but the computers are really looking at the strength of record, meaning how an average team would do if they would be able to get that record, offensive, defensive efficiency, and it does take into account the competition. Even lowly Lamar has a rating in the system, so that's what it's looking at as well.
Okay, back to the question. I do believe Ohio State is easily the best team in America right now. And I get that they haven't played up to – they're going to be the best.
Okay.
Did Urban not bring them to a late boil last year right on schedule? He's going to do it again. I don't think Michigan had one player ranked in the top 20 in this mock draft that they did. Who was it? The safety, Jabril
Peppers.
Peppers, they list him as a safety, but whatever. Okay, so that's one player out of 20. Ohio State had 10. And guess what? Michael Thomas, your stud receiver, was not picked in the mock draft in the 10 players. And he's all the way up to 11 on Todd McShay's big board. So 11. So he's not even in it. So he should have been in there somewhere. So that means this team is incredibly loaded with pro football players, soon to be. Obviously, starting with Joey Bosa, who very well could be the first pick in the draft. Cardale has struggled. They played a little musical quarterbacks. He's 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He went Tom Brady on the playoffs last year, and he hasn't gotten back to that level. And I think he's looking over his shoulder a little bit at JT.
Well, let's talk about a different Tom. Let's talk about Tom Herman.
Okay.
Tom Herman, the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach from a year ago down at Houston. And Urban actually reached out to him after watching Greg Ward, the quarterback there at Houston, perform. And that's why the change was made with JT Barrett. So Urban actually reached out to him, acknowledged that there's a serious problem. They were terrible in the red zone. Most talented, no question, but not the best team. Not right now. How many times do we see the more talented team lose in football?
Yeah, but this is so much more than any other team that when it comes to the end of the year, they will be ready.
You mean like when Ohio State beat Miami, right? I mean, it happens. Okay. It's football.
Stephen A.
Yeah, we don't want to hear what you say.
Guys, here's why. First of all, I agree with Robert because they clearly are the most talented, but that doesn't make them the best team, Skip. Watch them against Indiana. I wasn't impressed by that.
I watched it.
I just look at it from this perspective. I got to say this to you. I don't have any question, guys, that the Ohio State Buckeyes are obviously the most talented team. But as great as we all know Urban Meyer to be, can he possibly be the problem thus far? We know he'll be the solution because he's too great not to be. His resume is too impeccable. I'm certainly not trying to cast any aspersions on him. He's been trying to figure out that quarterback deal. I get that with Cardale Jones and JT Barrett. But my Lord, guys, when all else fails, can you just give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott and just call it a day?
Well,
the guy is averaging nearly 7 yards a carry.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. My point is that they've made it. I would argue that Urban Meyer has made it far more suspenseful than it needs to be, because when this guy touches the football, good things happen. Give him the damn ball. You got Michael Thomas with 27 receptions for you. But give Ezekiel Elliott the damn ball, move out the way, and call it an afternoon. It's really very simple to me.
They're going to start doing that.
But that average is inflated too. Averaging 7 yards a carry. How many of those have been those 50, 60-yard runs? That's not what Ohio State wants. You look at the 696 yards in those last 3 games in the championship run. They had much more consistent play.
So they don't want
60
60-yard runs. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you can't always manufacture 60-yard runs. You want more consistency in your offense.
Okay, I'll go
You're
on.
not always playing Indiana.
I'll go on record early. Ohio State will win at Michigan in the last game of the year. They're just too talented. They're so much better than Michigan.
And they'll have to get a lot. They'll have to play a lot better.
They're going to play better.
We shall see. Robert Smith, always a pleasure. Thanks for getting this guy fired up.
Oh, you got it. Anytime.
That doesn't take much.
When there's news on LeBron James, the world stops. And we have some news on why he's not going to be playing the rest